Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Comics Della Morte, episode 73, John Carpenter's The Thing. And we have a full cast here, so I'm just going to go around and let everybody introduce themselves, starting with Allison.
Hi, Alison McGlone of Alley Cat Comics. I stream regularly with Peter Palmiotti. We try to do Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Lately, we've had cat issues, so that hasn't happened. But yeah, I draw comics and generally make fun of stupid things. I love horror movies.
Hell yeah. Welcome to the party.
Love arguments? Is that what I heard?
Horror movies.
Horror movies.
Okay, all right. I was like,
I'm good at arguments too.
Yeah.
Somebody found that out when they tried to debate me in Star Wars.
So. Yeah, that's my hot button. Let's just avoid.
Yeah.
Next
Scott?
one.
Okay, you're gonna have to excuse. I got some construction going on in the background, but I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs, and you can find me at serkworks.com, where I make comics. I make tools for artists to help them make comics, and on my YouTube channel, Serkworks, I have a series called Making Comics 101, which is basically the nuts and bolts of making comics. Everything from coming up with your idea to printing, publishing, and every step in between. So that plus a lot of other content on my YouTube channel. So.
We're going down and around, or is it coming to me? Which way you want to do it? All right.
You could. So, Team Manticore, if you want to go next, and then we'll end it with Gary. We'll let Jason promote his stuff too.
So we are Team Manticore.
Now the argument starts. Now.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Rowan. And we make comics and games and plush toys that benefit a number of charities. And you can see all of our work at teammanticore.com. We also have Art of Team Manticore, where you can see like speed draws behind the scenes. But mostly, I think I personally am known for my comics, a lot of which is horror. But my weekly comic is about a cute little black cat. So very different genre.
You did have a thing in that one, though.
I did. Very early on. But, it was House Fright Dorable. There's a fright in there.
You even have the names out there, so people know.
All right, you, Gary.
Well, I'm Gary Hodges. I'm the creator of the indie comic Dinosaurs vs. Marsbots, or DVSM, which is back in stock. It had been out of print for a little while, but just yesterday or the day before, my reprint showed up. If you go to my Etsy shop, you can pick up one or both and get up to speed before the third installment comes out in the future sometime. I'm working on it right now. So you can find me. The easiest place to find me is on Instagram at Dinosaurs vs. Marsbots, or on YouTube, which is just under my name, Gary Hodges.
Awesome.
I'm old Fogbreaker Studios, Jason Alexander. I got a project out on my Etsy page called Ransom Notes: Arrested Development. It's very horror centric, but overall, I am enjoying learning the art of horror comics and storytelling, and it's definitely my niche. I think I'm claiming it. I think I'm sticking my flag in horror for the foreseeable future, and it's very cool to be on a show with so much horror talent, and I can't wait to get into this discussion. So yeah, awesome. Fogbreaker Studios everywhere. If you want to hear the cult stuff, it's on my TikTok. I try to post my artwork on my Instagram, but I'm trying to do a few things to keep it interesting, and I got a few projects in the fire. So stay tuned. Wherever you see Fogbreaker Studios, you might find me.
Awesome. And anybody who's watching, this is my channel, Crimson Owl Comics, Ronnie Gunter. You could go to Tapas to read my ongoing webcomic, Vengeful Heart, which is a horror con. Yeah, just got a bunch of stuff in development. Jason and Gary both know there's a con called Necronomicon, which is mostly dedicated to authors who write novels for sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, but they have every year a t-shirt contest for the theme, so I'm working on that, and hopefully I win so I could get a free pass to check out what the con is really about, so I could get a feel if I want to set up a table there.
Awesome. Yeah.
We will be there, so we'll see you there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Cool.
In Florida?
Oh no! I thought the
No.
Necronomicon Providence. We heard Necronomicon,
Yeah.
I got really excited. There's another one in Providence.
Oh,
Yep,
gotcha.
I live in that area, and I was
Yeah.
thinking about trying to go this year too. So
Yeah, but it's really cool. It's one of those things that Scott Serkland actually came out with a video. If you could find a con that's not like dedicated to like Comic Cons, but something that can like relate to your niche, everything, that's perfect. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
but yeah, so we already have a person in the chats. Chase, what's up? Thank you, sir. But yeah, so let's get off to our first discussion. Who do you guys think Patient Zero was?
We narrowed it down to 2 people.
We did math
Yeah.
on this one, so we're gonna let everyone else go
I think
first.
everyone probably narrowed it down to 2 people. It's
I'll,
just-
Yeah.
it's one of those
I'll
two
narrow it
people.
down.
Yeah, I narrowed it down to
No,
2.
and I don't care. So,
Well, I have a most likely, but then I have a possible. I think. Should I just jump in? Should I get started?
go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to
go
hear
for
what.
it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Likely Norris.
Go ahead.
I think Norris is the most likely Patient Zero.
Mhm.
If-
That
I-
was my big guess, Norse.
I would agree.
I
That
think
makes
there's like
sense.
a 5% chance it could be Palmer.
That's who I thought.
But is that what
Because
you
the
thought?
curly
Yeah,
hair.
it can be me.
I thought
Yeah.
Palmer, he thought Norris.
So I know enough behind the scenes that the shadow you see of when the dog like walks in, you just see the person turn to look at them, and that's Patient Zero.
Yeah.
They specifically chose someone not on the cast,
Right.
so you can't be like,
Yeah.
Right.
but it's
Right.
still like you've got a curly hair, like you've got a certain profile, and just because of like who gets infected when, it's got to be Palmer or Norris. There's no
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
other option. Everyone else I can like tell when they're human up to, and it's Palmer or Norris. Now I like the idea that it's Norris, and you like the idea that it's Palmer.
I do.
To tell me why you like the idea of Palmer.
I like the fact, and maybe it was just by accident or by the nature of how the script is, but it seems like his personality changes. Like he
Yeah.
just becomes quieter and a little bit more like he mutates personality wise in a way that makes me be like suspicious.
He goes from smoking a joint in front of the commanding officer
Yeah.
to just being like behind me, like whatever you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
He switches
That's
more
very
towards the
suspicious.
watchful
Yeah.
predator rather than who he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
And he seems to kind of actively sow distrust people that we know are human. And usually to me, like rewatching it, that was kind of the marker. Because like Norris is always like, maybe it's this guy. Maybe it's McGreedy. Like he's always picking out the threats of like, it could be him. It could be him. And Palmer's kind of doing that too. So like it's suspicious. Yeah.
See, I always thought the profile looked more like Norris, but I think I also have a side thing because Norris later on in the film, after he tries to tackle McCready, his heart, he stops breathing. He has a medical emergency. So is he being taken over by the thing at that point and it's eating him from the inside because he ate something or someone slipped something into him while he was looking? Or did the thing perfectly recreate him down to his heart defect?
That's
Yeah,
what I always
exactly.
assumed. Like
Right.
he copied someone and ended up with a heart defect.
Yeah, 'cause he's like, oh, this is the piece that just goes, I don't know what this does. Like,
Yeah.
Right,
Right,
right. Why would you know? You know, that's,
How would you know?
maybe sometimes
Very
it stops. I don't know.
Yeah.
it's supposed to stop.
It,
Why-
it is an alien
Yeah,
life
that's
form,
this is
so-
what happens. Yeah, right. I always liked this is something I was thinking about last night. Like, so okay, you're Norris. You're Thing Norris. You're on the table because you had a heart attack. If the Thing was smart, and I think there's an open question like how smart the Thing actually is. I can't tell. But if you're smart, you might as well just play dead and end up in a room somewhere and wait this whole thing out.
Mhm.
But instead he decides to attack. This is my new theory. I think the Thing is sensitive and vulnerable to electricity. And when they're doing the like paddles on him, that makes him like, whoop, 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 I gotta
Well,
stop to that. Like
It's the
that.
same as the blood test. It's
It showed that he was
Yeah.
vulnerable
It's
to
just
it.
like
That it
that
would have
blood
left
It
test.
him.
doesn't react to the first defibrillation. It reacts to the second one. It bites instead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe
So
it just wakes it up.
so that like the
Freaks it
first like it's playing dead and it's just like
It's
I'll
like,
just take it and
ow.
go,
No,
ow.
I'll just be dead.
Hey,
Because it
that
doesn't know
hurt.
what battles do until it does it. And then like the second one is like, I'm not going through that again. No.
Yeah, like that sucked. And like, I'm going to attack this guy. Right, exactly.
Right.
So I think, like, if there was a Thing 3, the move is like, you got a shotgun. Which I think maybe that's how they killed it in the original, right? The black and white? I don't remember. I
thought they burned it.
I
don't remember.
It's kerosene, but yeah,
I have feelings about the first.
we did watch the originals based on we've heard the radio play, and the first one is very much like a 1950s movie. It's not really, except for the title sequence, it's not really recognizable as the
they say
thing.
that the thing is like a vegetable.
Yeah, it's a carrot man.
A carrot man, right?
Well, they use footage from the original in the thing when they're surrounding the spaceship and all that. That's right from the original.
Yeah,
and the original is in some ways a little closer to the short story Who Goes There. That was kind of plant-like.
No, I don't. Do you mean the original from the 40s or 50s, or?
Yeah, the actual pulp story that.
Okay, because I've never read the novel, but I know like in the original he didn't like take shape, which he does in the novel. So I heard that Carpenter, when he approached it, wanted to make it more like the novel. Well,
I meant what it's like composed of. Carpenter's vision is truer, but it was kind of like a plant in some ways.
Yeah.
It was weird. The short story is good. I recommend it. So.
I need to chase it down. I should read it by now since I love the movie so much.
If you can find it, there's a short story collection that has a bunch of movies that were adapted from short stories in it, and Who Goes There is in it, as is like We Dream Your Dreams Wholesale, which is Total Recall, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, things like that. That's more of a novel, though. But yeah, it has a bunch of stuff in there. I think the Minority Report's in there. I can't remember.
Yeah, we Philip K. Dick story, probably.
Yeah.
So Scott, who do you think was patient zero?
I would, if I had to choose. Well, obviously, it's got to be either Palmer or Norris. I would probably go with Norris. Yeah, I mean, obviously with the shadow, I mean that was definitely done to mislead people. That's why they cast somebody that didn't. Because I mean, you could almost look at most. of
those
the
are somebody in the production crew.
It's like you can't really go by that. And I think the shadow, his hairstyle kind of looked like Norris, but I think he wasn't as heavy as Norris probably. So I don't think you can go by that.
He just pulled the shape trick with that. So
I think it was probably Norris though.
Yeah.
Am I the only two?
Yeah, because with Palmer, I mean, when you think about it, Palmer would have been able to scream. With Norris, if he was having a heart attack while he was being attacked by the thing dog, he would have been just having not be able to call for help because of having a heart attack.
Bennings didn't scream. Bennings was alone with the room of the thing.
That's true.
Windows with the keys, and no one heard anything.
Gary got ambushed and was immediately incapacitated. So
well, I found something new to read.
Gary gets like face
covering his mouth, sort of.
Hey, Bat.
You can't scream. There's a hand in your face.
Right. True.
Yeah, I think though that both Palmer and Norris were assimilated like early on, like at the same time. Yeah, I mean they were. I believe they were both kind of whoever got it first. It wasn't whoever got it second was probably not far after. Yeah,
they're the only ones we couldn't trace back to a time where the movie shows them after the dog shows up, where you could be like they're human.
Yeah,
well, it's like a spore, so it can spread quickly to each other. To other people.
Yeah, but it's also we could get a little bit into more why if the thing can't detect that another thing's in the room at the same time with it, and why not just both attack at the same time?
Might not realize it. It's an alien. So it's
things go south, it's all about the survivability of the pieces. So if Thing Phil attacks and Thing Dave goes, oh, that was weird. And things go south for Thing Phil, Thing Dave walks away.
Right. Yeah. And it is kind of interesting because like in the infamous Norris scene in the lab, like in the fire when his head crawls off. Yeah. Palmer is the one who spots the head and calls it out. If not for Palmer, no one would have seen that, and it would have gotten away. So you know, either Palmer's not the Thing, but it seems like he would have to be at that point.
I would say he is, and that it's just still to try to keep in character, probably.
Yeah, it's like a misdirect. It's like, look, the Thing's over there. Get him, guys.
It's although like how smart is it? How much is it like? Because it copies your brain. It knows the language. It knows something of your personality.
Right.
Like it seems.
Well, that too. What if it gets a little bit smarter every time it takes somebody else?
That would be something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, does anyone have? This wasn't on the question list. I hate to take over, but does anyone have a feeling? Does the Thing? If you're a Thing, do you know you're a Thing?
Yeah, I was wondering that. Well, Blair definitely knows.
I'll say yes.
Oh yeah.
Blair 100% embraces being the Thing when he becomes thinged.
Right.
Especially if your body starts going through a slow process,
yeah,
you probably know something's happening.
But I had this question when Palmer, when they do the blood test, he just starts vibrating. I'm just like, does he just at that point realize, oh shit, it's me?
Yeah, is that a
well,
thing?
and he looks uncomfortable as hell when he's tied up. Like you can
Yeah.
tell he knows, like, well, the jig is up. You know, like when you rewatch it, it's like he knows now, like he's screwed. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder what if they didn't realize what humans were? Like what if the like deviousness of humans is like something that they like magnify and it becomes like a rush for them? It's almost like Pennywise. Like Pennywise would do whatever he wanted to do until he realized that if he made humans afraid, it was as simple as they tasted better.
That's an interesting thought.
There is that.
Yeah.
No.
What if
There's no
humans
effort.
what if the Thing didn't know and we all taste like nachos?
What
And
if the Thing
now
is-
it's like the race is on for who can eat the most nachos.
What
Like,
if
I don't
the
want to
Thing
share
is
my nachos.
totally benevolent until it adapts someone that's awful or devious, and then
Exactly.
like it's like, okay, well now I got to blend in and start screwing it.
All the Norwegians were evil. The dog was bad, and it's just
Right.
It was an angel.
Well, it's like also with the Thing, you could look at it as like an insect. Other insects will kill its own kind just to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there's got to be more examples, but at least with Palmer Norris, you can have at least one example of a Thing calling out another Thing and getting it killed.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and Kurt Russell's tenacity might have been a threat. Like it was like, I have to be bigger and scarier than you are, because he was willing to kill anybody to eliminate this.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. Like once
Well,
he
also
realized
the-
that it was not.
he was going to
Something else
dynamite
is-
everything.
That the Thing knows it's a thing because it was almost immediately trying to frame McGreedy. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
so
Also,
like, that
what if
shows-
it
All they-
what if
they-
it was sacrificing itself to spread more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it knew it's like, oh, well, the jig's up with this guy.
Yeah.
So I'll just throw this one away and everybody will think, oh, it's gone. And then I can infect more people.
Well, I guess it was Norris the whole time. We can all go to breakfast.
Yeah. Oh, now that's over. Yeah. And
So Green's like, no, I got dynamite. We're doing the whole thing.
increases your trust level. Because if you point out, like, hey, look at Norris is getting away, it's like, well, then he must not be a thing. You know, it's kind of it like increases your trustworthiness, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, when it comes down to it, one of the things I like about the movie, it doesn't explain it.
Yeah.
No.
But the movie makes no one's trying to understand the why of the Thing. It's just its nature is it. There's no coexistence possible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
you see it in the model that that Blair is looking at. That
He only made for himself.
that's a lot of
Didn't
programming.
want to share. Didn't want to clue anybody in. Yeah.
He made the whole thing and then immediately tries to destroy everything. Doesn't want anyone else. Like he made this entire model just for him,
Yeah.
just for himself.
Yeah.
Nope.
Why?
Oh, hey, we got Landon now.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey.
Hello.
Welcome.
How are
You
you guys?
Glad you were able to make it, buddy.
Yeah, we just
Am
talking
I
shit
coming
about the
through
Thing.
okay?
Yeah, loud and clear, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feedback or anything?
Nope, you're all good.
Nope.
I'm good.
So before we go off to the second question, introduce yourself, Landon, so people know who you are.
Hey, my name's Landon Huber, and I'm an illustrator. And I
Awesome.
made I illustrated a horror comic called Bleen, Bleen, and do other things as well, art process videos and so on and so forth.
Sweet.
But unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to be a good person for this chat because I haven't seen The Thing. I've only seen
All right.
bits
So
and
Yeah.
Haven't seen The Thing.
So I didn't see it
Doesn't
until
feel we got fresh eyes.
2021. So the movie's gonna get spoiled for you, but you'll
We're
still
gonna make
watch
one
it.
of us.
Heavy spoilers coming.
I'm just speechless. I'm speechless.
We'll
Part of the
absorb
ship,
him into the
part of the
hole.
crew.
It'll be on theme.
Well, I've
Right.
seen
Part one of
bits
the
and
Apostle
pieces,
So with-
trilogy, you haven't seen it.
Oh, so you've seen bits and pieces of it. Okay.
but I haven't just sat down and watched the whole thing all the way through. So
No,
I
I'm
guess
definitely
I
gonna
could
rewatch it tonight, most
maybe
likely.
add little thoughts here and there, but
Right.
Well, this will be as
I won't be
spoilery
able
as
to,
spoilers get.
know
I mean,
Yeah.
about all the specifics.
Yeah, we're gonna spoil everything.
Yeah, it's gonna.
I gotta
probably be
do
the
that.
Spoilers. So
Yeah.
I know we have our Discord. I got to figure out how to
don't
how
worry.
Discord could watch movies, because that'd be great just to get some people in a Discord and
Yeah.
just watch
Yeah,
more
do a
movies
watch
one
party
night.
with it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
you could screen
Yeah,
share
that'd be
and have a
sweet.
chat going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You
At
screen
some
So with
point,
this-
Landon,
Don't
I'm
worry
gonna
about
go so
spoiling
far.
it or anything.
Yeah.
I was gonna say at some point I'm gonna go so far off the rails, like it won't even matter. You'll have to go watch it anyway.
So with our second question, I'll start off, and you could put but my favorite character that sadly died would have to be Fuchs, just because he was very smart with the whole thing, and he was like trying to tell them, hey, even while this thing is charred and you think it's dead, it's still alive.
Right.
So it really made you think that, okay, if this guy doesn't survive, it's because the thing knows that this guy's smart and he has to die. But sadly, I was hoping that he would have lived through the movie. And also, it sucked that he was one of the main characters. You didn't see how he died.
Yeah.
I also said Fuchs.
Yeah.
I'm
So
the same way.
I thought Fuchs was one of the more tragic because it was a suicide. He burned himself to death.
Yeah.
And also because like Fuchs, when Fuchs is reading Blair's notes and like he has to figure out who he trusts, he goes straight to McCready.
The one he
Yeah.
trusts.
And then when he finds before burning himself, they show he finds McCready's like torn clothes with McCready's name on the back, and he just, in my mind, he just gave up at that point. He's just like, well, if I can't trust McCready,
Mhm.
I don't have a second to trust. So at that point, he just incinerated himself. So
Right.
at least he's not going to be a thing. So I thought that was like the most tragic death.
Didn't make it a thing.
But that
Yeah,
just
it-
goes back to what Fuchs was saying. You know how like Blair, how he was examining the body and he touched it with his pencil and then he put up against his mouth.
Put it on his mouth.
Yeah.
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 That was dumb.
So it's like, was
That's
was his body changing at that point, and then when he started going crazy, is that when he realized that something's wrong?
So Blair, we think he changed like fully when he was in the cabin because
Gotcha.
he had put up the noose. And then
Which is still
when they
there.
check on him, the noose is still there. But he's like, I'm fine now. I want to come inside.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
there's a
think
switch
if
that
he
happened.
was changed then, I think a case could be made that he changed early and he did that whole act in the radio room to get some time alone out in the shed. Because like he had to put that whole spaceship together.
Mhm.
Like he needed a lot of
I
time.
don't know if that was his plan at the time. I think he could have gotten away with
Landon
more.
disconnected.
Like he had the authority
back.
to just start like doing stuff on his own. No one was checking up on Blair until he started shooting a gun at people.
until he
Like-
put out.
Like, you
Child,
gotta-
she's like, please don't.
The thing tends to go more under the radar than that. I feel like that was like he could have been infected and it was just slowly coursing through his thing. But I think at that point that was the human reaction, is just freaking out.
It could be, but I think it's interesting that he wrecks the helicopter and the tractor, and those are the parts he uses to build a ship. That's a little convenient, you
Yeah.
know. So, like, I think it's most likely he gets infected while he's incarcerated in the shed. But I think it's possible he gets infected and then is put in the shed and now can make his little science project of a spaceship.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it
Well,
wouldn't be
with
anything for either Palmer or Norris to go like check, like he's checking up on him and infect him while he's in the shed. And I mean, but the spaceship, the whole movie, that's to me, that's kind of the most problematic thing of the whole thing, that he's going to build a spaceship out of helicopter parts and
Right.
take
And
off.
tunnel back into the main compound. Like, he's got this whole tunnel network. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I can kind of buy that. Maybe that's problematic too. But I mean, he's got all these tendrils and probably could be used for clawing stuff out. I don't know the strength of it, but it's
It's
You know,
not
or who's
hard.
to
It
say
does
that
stuff.
it wasn't.
There's
just
been an
like
argument
moving
made
through
about
other
Carpenter's.
animals.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, who's to say that it just wasn't moving through other animals that knew the terrain and like.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, now it's people. Like, now they have thumbs. It's like, now I can really get out of here. Like, I've burrowed down to give myself a think tank. Now I can get out of here.
Right.
Opposable thumbs wins the day.
Multiple thumbs are handy. No pun intended.
Scott, did you have a favorite character that you sadly didn't want to die?
Well, it's kind of difficult with this movie because to me, I mean, none of the characters, in my opinion, are very sympathetic or even likable. I mean, you like them because, like, there's characters I like because they're cool characters, but they're not. But they all mistrust each other. None of them get along. You know, even from the jump. So, I guess if I was going to say one person, even though he did try to stab McCready, was probably Clark, just because he was kind of the dog handler, and I think he was the one that they were trying to set up because he was the dog handler and the dogs were infected first, that he was kind of the red herring. And he's just seemed the most kind of scared or like worried to me. So I maybe would pick him, but I don't know. I didn't really, obviously we don't know. I mean, we can guess the fate of Kurt Russell, of McCready and Childs. I would have, if they would have died early on, that would have bothered me. But any of those other characters, I mean, I like the characters, but they're not sympathetic or, so I didn't really, there wasn't anyone like, oh man, I didn't want him to go, which say what you want about the prequel. I think some of the characters in there, I did kind of feel that, like the one young scientist and like, what I'm gonna die because I flossed, that type of thing,
I have some issues with that movie, but I more forgive the prequel over time because there's a whole documentary about.
Yeah, I like the prequel. I mean, it's got problems, but
well, there's a whole documentary about special effects in Hollywood, and they super feature the Thing prequel because they did all those practical.
Oh, I know.
And then some executive came in and said,
"Amazing,
some terrible digital shit on there."
Yeah,
so terrible.
It's like the Harvey Weinstein disease.
And I'm even a little forgiving. I would rather be practical, but I'm forgiving of most of them. I thought most of it was okay. There's a few shots that I just like.
It has the same, like, it has another ending, which is the spaceship where they're like,
where you see the actual what I guess would be,
or maybe it was
the actual form or another pilot. Like it was like an alien thing where it took over like I forgot what it was called, the Navigator or whatever, that original the Prometheus guy.
Oh,
but they did this thing in the prequel where, like, at the end, she's like down a tunnel, and the creature that can change its body can't reach her. I'm like, no, that's no.
pretty much.
You just make your arm longer. You've done it before.
Yeah, true.
Well, it was nice to see like the actual transformation and how the two-headed face came to be.
Yeah.
In the prequel. Yeah.
The prequel was the setting up of the prequel. They definitely had a lot of love for the original because they went back and like tracked the original shots and figured out based on Kurt Russell's height, like how to build their sets and kind of like work the story backwards. So I have a lot of forgiveness for the prequel. I saw it in theaters and was not a fan, but like watching the making of and learning about the special effects, I'm like, you know what? People on that set tried, and then someone in a tower somewhere made decisions that made it bad.
Yeah,
but everyone on set was trying.
Yeah.
No, was Fuchs your character you were sad about?
Fuchs was my savage.
I didn't really have a sad. Oh, number one, I'm still like, I can't watch this movie and analyze it. I have to listen to other people analyze it, or I have to like talk about it like how we are now. but I remember like the hopelessness in the room when my man's head pops off and scurries around, because at that point, like, you got to accept that you're probably not going to live to tell anybody about this, because you're literally nowhere and something completely unexplainable is happening.
That was one of my favorite scenes in the movies.
Yeah, it's like people who were there and like people who came with you that were humans are now doing inhuman things.
Gary's being called out.
I'm sorry. I just gotta point out Squashy what he said.
Yeah, Gary's being called out.
Get to work, Gary.
I'm ignoring it. I'm just fine.
Chase mentions something. There was a video game that took place off of the ending of the first movie. I can't.
If I recall
I've
correctly,
never played it. But...
if I recall correctly, Carpenter was a big fan of the video game, and like says that if he had to choose a canon afterwards, that would be it. If I remember correctly.
I gotta go watch gameplay of that then.
Personally, just favorite character who died would be the dog.
Yeah.
He was dead. He was in a bunch of Disney movies after that. He was actually a wolf dog. He was part wolf. He got adopted by Henry Winkler's cousin.
That's
so
awesome.
Technically related to the Fonz. And I love this dog. And it's upsetting that he doesn't make it through the film.
He's a good boy.
He was a very good boy.
He was a
caused
very
the
good
destruction of an entire Antarctic base. So, two
also,
of them.
that dog that tries to like gnaw through the cage.
That was the one biting through the cage, just like it's trying so hard.
It's like, no. Otherwise, if I have to pick a human, be Knowles.
Oh, Knowles made it right till the end.
Almost made it.
So close.
Yeah, he really did almost make it.
Yeah. For sure.
He didn't cause much trouble.
No, he was obnoxious with his music, but otherwise he was.
Yeah.
If I remember right, like, because Gary gets like a dramatic, like, special effects death. Knowles is just like there, and then they cut away, and he's just gone.
Yeah, you never got to see how he died.
Yeah. He's gone.
I assume it was badly.
Probably bad. Like everybody. Yeah.
I don't think he got a comfortable shoulder massage to death, but
right.
Like it's
That's
just
how I want to die.
That's
it's like death by snake snap.
Right.
I'm a big fan of Windows, the radio guy.
Oh yeah, Windows. Yeah.
But he's probably the only one in the movie where when he dies, you're like, oh no, like I wanted him to pull through. I like that he wears his sunglasses when he's at work. I like that he's like he's like totally like saying the thing that everybody's probably thinking all throughout the movies. Like, you're gonna listen to Gary, he could be one of those things. You're gonna do this. Like, I mean, he's like sounding the alarm the whole time.
Yeah.
As soon as he has he's a little spooked. He immediately goes and grabs a shotgun. Like, he's like, I'm done. I'm done. Like, no way I'm trusting anybody.
He was on top of things.
Yeah. He's like, I didn't like anybody here anyway.
And my favorite little thing, it's still like one of the most badass things little character moments I've seen in a movie, when they're doing the blood test and McGreedy's like, now it's your turn. He takes the scalpel he's been cutting everybody's thumb with, and he like zip like wipes it off on his jeans and cuts his thumb open.
I was going to mention this with the pencil thing.
Yeah.
Like, all these people are super infected.
Yeah, he's doing that, but like, and straight face, like, doesn't even flinch, and they're drawing blood in like the worst possible way, like slicing
bleed forever, right?
Like, but he's like such a badass about it. I thought he's pretty cool. Like he's pretty. So it was a bummer when he choked him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ash wishes he was McCready.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
But that's another story for another time.
So, with our next question, and glad that you were able to make it back, Landon.
Yeah, we'll go back.
And
I was on my phone and it just lost connection.
Oh, gotcha. But
I think I have a patient 0 for the thing in this chat now, guys.
Right. Oh God, that was bad. Or just reading the chat.
But
that was bad.
My favorite monster design, of course, it's obvious, would have to be, Norris's design where the monster pops out of his stomach, just because it's such an iconic creature design, and just the way the face looks at you and its eyes is just really terrifying. It gave me nightmares as a kid, but I couldn't stop and I had to watch more.
Every movie has to have a moment, and then it's just that defibrillator.
Yeah, that the whole operating table sequence with everything that happens around it.
It's just money. Money.
That's just, you watch the movie for that, and then everything else is gravy after that. It's just
It's so wonderfully crafted because it goes from ditching McCready outside and it just elevates throughout. And then there's this this medical emergency, and you think it's dipping down, and immediately just rockets right back past.
Yep.
And, the doors explodes, and there's a head spider, and they're everywhere.
The head spider's my favorite.
Head spider's
And I still don't know how
head
they
spider's
do some of
great.
that stuff. Like, it's so good. Like, when that head is sliding off the table and its face is moving, like, thinking about 1982, like, how did they do that? That's amazing.
Well, not just that, but it's like most 80s horror movies only had one monster. They had like five monster designs of the thing.
It was easily close to a half dozen, so yeah.
Yeah, so, and to think that all of these were, not CGI. So all the money they had to put into making each design different, where back then, if it messed up the first time, it was probably over. They weren't going to be able to shoot it again.
The effects guy put himself in the hospital from overwork.
Yeah.
Like, if you look like
Team,
Rob Bodkin or something.
Team.
Yeah, there we go. He's the same guy who did The Howling. He's done a bunch.
He did tons of stuff.
And he did
And
The
then he
Howling.
vanished.
He's like 20 years old.
The Howling Werewolf is the only thing that I put on the same comparison level as American Werewolf in London.
The Howling Werewolf is fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. But yeah, the guy, he worked for like 13 months straight. He was sleeping at the set, and finally he basically just exhausted himself. He had to check himself in the hospital, and they had to pull in Stan Winston to finish. Just a few things, because the guy, he worked himself almost to death, and it shows. Like, you look at it, it's like, how did you even do this?
Yeah, the movie was just, the practical effects in it, just there's nothing like it. It was just so good.
I can interject here about
go for it.
The difference between CGI and practical effects, because most movies these days are all CGI. And even like the new, they're making a new Jurassic Park that looks pretty cool. But if you compare it to what they did with the original Jurassic Park, they're doing everything CGI. Whereas the original, they did just certain things that were just physically impossible to do CGI. But then the rest of it was practical, for all the close-ups and everything. And then that just really brought it to life in a way that CGI just doesn't, because there's so much detail with what just the natural way of capturing a practical effect that is really hard to replicate using CGI, and you subconsciously pick up on it.
Organic
some
materials,
CGI is really well done, but
It's
Yeah,
also
especially
the
out of a horror
creativity
movie.
behind it. I think the creativity behind it is because how did they do that? If it's today's special effects, no matter how good it gets, we did it on the computer. But then it's like, we use Jell-O and we use mayonnaise and we use whatever else. And it's just like how they figured out how to do something that just didn't exist. And I mean, that's the stuff as a kid that really got to me. I don't know if I was growing up now, if I would be as interested in being a special effects artist. Obviously, that's not what I ended up doing, but I was definitely, as a kid, that was something I wanted to do. And but I don't know if I would have had that same reaction, because it's just like a lot of that creativity to me is just missing from CGI, even when it looks great.
Yeah, because when you watch some horror movies and you could tell that the monster's CGI, you kind of get out of that whole aspect of being scared. You're just like, oh wow, that's terrible.
Yeah, because it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
There's a certain magic to watching a movie and being like, someone had to build a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Right. Rather than like, there's like, I work in computers, but like watching CGI dinosaurs and just like, yeah, okay, you built a model, it did, you programmed rigging, and you left. Like,
Nobody ever got stuck in a CG.
yeah,
T-Rex
no one
with
almost
brains.
died in a blackout building
Yeah.
a CGI T-Rex.
And getting
You don't
stuck.
have 6 people in Jabba the Hutt anymore, so it's just not fun.
No.
You know,
No, there's
speaking of
something about
Jabba,
even the best CGI I've ever seen. I don't know if I've ever had like a visceral kind of gross out reaction to it. But then you go back and you watch like Alien and you see the inside, like the egg opens up and you see this weird placenta-ish weird interior that looks is very clearly real. And
Yeah,
you're thinking,
because
like, I know
crab
that's not
yeah.
really alien. Yeah, but it's still gross. It's
Oh,
still
yeah,
like
it's
ridiculous.
There's a difference
sure.
in like the movement of objects and like the way that light hits it and all these things in reality versus CGI, which has to be created.
Yeah.
Because CGI is like obviously not a real thing. It's not real. It's been created. But
Right.
even though like whatever they're using, like gelatin or whatever, okay, gelatin's not really the pussy stuff in the guy, but it is a real object, or you know what I'm trying to say? Like it's a real
Right.
thing.
Right.
So it
It's
connects to you
visceral.
in that way.
It's like,
And you still wouldn't want it on you.
yeah,
No.
So it's
Right.
enough.
I gotta say, like, just mentioning Star Wars, I never knew why I liked the original 3 as much as I did. And I remember like forcing myself to enjoy the prequels. And I could never like really understand why I liked, because I just watched movies to watch them. You know, I didn't really analyze them the way that I do now. But it wasn't until I saw The Force Awakens and they had gone back to a lot of practical effects. And I was like, that's what gets me.
Yeah.
That's what gets me. And seeing the thing like as somebody with a more, not a ultimately, but a more developed creator's eye, you appreciate it so much more because everything was an effort. And the closest that I've seen like scary CGI, I gotta say, is the bear in Annihilation. Like that's the most relevant.
Yeah.
That's the most relevant horror that I've seen that's computer generated. But at the same time, like that movie is definitely a cousin of the Thing. It's very psychological, but it's got all the notes.
Yeah.
And it's the same horror.
No, the
An
book it
alien
comes from is
entity
like very
replacing you.
Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Is there anybody else who has another favorite design by chance, or is that?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was just going to say one of the things that I liked that I didn't even realize till later. I was watching an interview and about the special effects, and Rob Boutin was talking about there's a I forgot which creature it came out of. I think it's probably the Blair monster, but it was kind of looked like the Demogorgon, where it was this flowery thing that popped up. But
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, what he explained,
It's in the panel.
do you know what it is? He says it looks like a flower, but it's not. It's the tongues of the dogs making this thing with teeth inside of it. And I just thought that was awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, that was
what I was
disturbing.
gonna mention. It's in the kennel. It's just before Childs torches it. And you see it open up in this, it looks like a weird meat flower that kind of opens up. But yeah, apparently it's a bunch of dog tongues. And each tongue has a row of dog teeth on it. And it just looks like this weird thorny.
So much detail.
Yeah, but like that's kind of my favorite also because it's so like weirdly Lovecraftian. Like I like that, like just that design is so, like the Norris thing is kind of its own special. You almost have to take it out of the running because it's just its own special. But
I don't know if you guys, I assume you guys probably collect comics or whatever, but have you guys ever seen this Bernie Wrightson Spider-Man?
Yes,
It just
that
reminds me
is one
so
of my
much of the
favorite
Thing.
books.
I bought this like a little while, came out a little while after I saw the Thing, and I mean, I was like, oh man, this is what a Thing comic book would look like. but it's all of that, but with Spider-Man.
Nice.
Hooky is amazing. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. I had Wrightson sign that for me.
Yeah, I've got the. It's signed by the author, but sadly I never got Wrightson's signature on it.
I'm a huge Bernie Wrightson fan to the point that I've literally brought a suitcase full of comics to him for him to sign, and I asked him, "Will you sign a suitcase full of comics?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Cool." And I literally brought over a suitcase full of comics.
I'll be right back.
I never got to meet him. I wish I had.
Hey, John, what's up?
I worship at
I
the.
never
altar
got
for
to
John.
meet him, but he seemed like a really nice guy.
He was super nice. He signed a suitcase full of comics. So
his work was super inspiring to me, especially as a kid. Like between his Frankenstein stuff and his Cycle of the Werewolf drawings, like that was all. And then I mean Swamp Thing, of course, but like all of that was just so amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
So with the next question, what scene scared you the most? And I'm gonna let you, Team Manticore, I'll let you guys talk because everybody's been jumping in.
For me, it changed. When I first saw it as a kid, it was the hand one with face, and that toward the end.
Yeah.
Just Blair sticking his hand in there. I didn't like that. That gave me nightmares, just for whatever reason. As an adult, it's losing both arms at the same time in the guy's stomach, trying to defibrillate like that.
Like, dude, I'm trying to save your life.
Yeah,
right.
And I think part of it is because watching it as many times as we've watched it, I realized that he pauses. He sees the stomach open, and then the hands go in. So it's like this shock moment of just like, keeps going anyway, and then loses his arms. And that bothers me.
Cover also has the unfortunate of dying like towards the climax of the action scene. So Copper just falls out of frame and no one ever mentions him again. He's just gone.
Scream's gone.
Just gone.
Screams falls off screen, gone. No one's like, where's Copper? I don't know.
So that one stuck with me a bit.
It is pretty disturbing. Yeah.
For me, I think it was the dog cage when like it's finally revealed like that there's something like this terrible and alien that's just been like among them for a while and starts to creep in. Like after that, the realization starts creeping in. It's like we don't know if this problem is solved.
Yeah.
Like, but the dog cage scene, because there's this perfectly normal dog goes in, lays down, and then 5 minutes later, like, what are the rules anymore?
Yeah.
Right. That's mine for sure. I mean, I'm like most people.
So,
I think like, I can watch people die in a movie and whatever, but when you watch an animal get hurt, it's like, oh no! Like that was the most disturbing sequence to me when it starts attacking the dogs in the kennel. That was like
because you weren't expecting it. That was the big shock value.
And it looks awful. Yeah.
What were you saying, Landon?
So I have seen Halloween, and I'm a fan of John Carpenter. And so I can say if some of that style was interjected, because like I said, I haven't seen The Thing. If some of his style was also interjected in The Thing, it's like the way that he makes things scary isn't just. I'm sure that there's certain scenes that are scary, but it's more of like the way he does it in Halloween is the concept and the build up and all that. Mm-hmm. It's like what's going on. It makes you think about it, rather than, this scene was terrifying. It was like the build up to that created the tension,
Yeah.
Yeah, The Thing's great with
that's
that.
That's all I had to say.
Yeah, it's definitely a Carpenter film. It has his aesthetic all over it. I mean, if you enjoyed Halloween, you'd love The Thing. It's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
What about you, Scott?
One who just meets The Thing to just be in here like, nope, didn't care for it.
Never found it.
But who do you find? Like,
yeah.
What rock do you turn over to find someone who hates The Thing?
Yeah, I don't know anyone who didn't like the movie. I mean, pretty much everybody I know who's a horror movie fan loves it.
Yeah, it's just a good horror movie. Like it hits all the beats the best way possible. So
it's not my favorite Carpenter film. That goes to Big Trouble in Little China. Sorry.
Big
yeah.
Big ups. Absolutely.
I saw it in the theater, so
I had to impart this knowledge of this.
I'll watch Carpenter.
Well, I've
anytime.
always liked Kurt Douglas.
yeah, it's
Big Trouble in Little China is probably the Carpenter movie that I've seen the most.
I would
But
agree with that.
my favorite, good grief, the Apocalypse trilogy in and of itself. Like, I feel like you can't really mention The Thing without
Well, no,
talking
you
about
can't.
the whole pill. Like, you can't. Like, there's so much, and like Prince of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness. As much as we all know how solid those movies are, I don't feel like that they get the flowers. Like, it's good, but no. This is like a really good thing.
Yeah.
And They Live, I almost feel like could be like a fourth sibling of the Apocalypse trilogy,
Yeah.
because I
In a way.
still feel like it tells the story of The Thing, right? Like, this is that thing that's trying to gain control, and
Well, it's
it gets more.
It's Carpenter's treatise in Reaganomics, so
Yeah.
I feel it. Like, my horror comes from a very personal thing that I'm very gripey about. And I don't say gripey to minimize it, but it's like, if I have ears, there's always going to be a story that must be told. And not only did Carpenter do it, but like with The Thing, he did it. He did it on the upper level, because everybody has to stop and listen. Because if you like horror, you can't shut the message out. And
No,
if you
right.
like the story and you are a fan of stories, you can't shut the message out. But it's done well, and it's just it was a very powerful movie for me in the time of like exposing myself to other people's horror that counted. And in that, I got a point, Ronnie. Damn it. Give me a second. I got to cook for a minute.
Hey, I'm
But
glad that me and Gary finally got you to watch the movie.
I'm so grateful. Like, that's something that you and Gary and Aaron can always hang your head on. Like, you were right. You guys were right on me needing to see this thing. But the scariest scene in that movie is the blood test. Like, because that's something that you have to submit to. And that was really scary. It was kind of like those first few times of getting a COVID test, where it's like, what's going to happen if I have COVID? Like, these people are like, if my blood becomes a monster, not only is that horrible, but that's the last thing that I'm going to see, because I'm going to die. And if McCready just is as unhinged as he could be, if he's wrong, he's going to kill me anyway. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, like they're going through the blood test, and certain people they're like, I know I'm human, but in the background they're like, but do I just think that? Like,
right. Everyone's nervous.
There's also we've talked about this before in the blood test, and I realized why it was done from a director's standpoint. But you'll notice like the blood gets closer and closer to his face, with the shot getting tighter and tighter, and just like, but as like if someone who's watched it 50 times, I'm just like, get the blood away from your face. It could be a creature. Get away. So separate.
And they're not wearing masks or anything. And we've got a friend who works in infectious diseases. And according to him, like, it wouldn't necessarily occur to somebody working in the Antarctic region to have all of the other stuff, even though that you should. Gloves, anything.
Anything, yeah. Well, it gets away. The blood gets away. Right. Like, it's, I mean, there's still a thing out there. But.
Right.
So, Scott, do you have a scene that really scared you?
I'm trying to remember back to when I was a kid, because to me, I don't know, once a few things like scare me that way. I mean, for me, the thing that I get out of movies is more of the atmosphere, the feeling that it gives me, as a whole. But I mean, I guess certain things will make me like jump, and like you could say it's a cheap kind of jump scare, but I think it was handled so well that it did catch me off guard. And that was, when they were doing the blood test and he was talking to, who's the station manager? What's his name again?
Gary.
And because he's directing it to Gary and almost like an afterthought. So, and then Who's was it Palmer at the time that
Palmer.
Yeah. And that right when he said that, the blood kind of shot up, and you're like, and I guess I wasn't expecting that, but I think it was a really good misdirect. So that one kind of, like, whoa. So yeah.
Awesome.
Well, that's
right.
what I was kind of saying earlier about how there's a difference between the jump scares and building tension and everything,
Yeah.
And John Carpenter is really good at building the tension.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'd have to say that for me, the scariest scene has nothing to do with the special effects. It's the ending.
Yeah, that's
I
a
don't
good
know.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's we're just gonna sit here and die.
And they're freezing cold. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that's absolutely horrifying. Just well, this is it.
After all of that,
You
nobody
survived.
made it.
I know there's been a lot of debate over whether or not at that point Childs is the thing or not, but I think the most tragic ending is if they are both human, because they still have to die alone. There's no trust between them. They could have another person sitting across from them, but they can't afford to make themselves vulnerable. So even though they're with somebody, they're going to die alone, even if they are both human. I think that's
And I would, in my mind, they were at the end both human, but that's something for so much debate. I don't think that's one of our questions though, which it probably should be, but we could be here all night if that was the case.
Well, my thought is they're both human because that makes it more tragic.
I got a bonus question that I didn't put out there, but we could talk about that bonus question just because it's a good what if, But with closing, I'll start off and then we'll just go down with Allison and so on. So in closing, why I thought this was a great horror movie was not just because of the special effects and the jump scares, but you could look at this as a great murder mystery too, because that's what it is. That you could even role play and have a mystery dinner theater where it's based around the thing and you're just trying to guess. And that's probably one of the cool things about it.
Tarantino did it. He remade the movie and turned it into a Western.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, great movie. One of my top horror movies, if not my favorite, under, American Werewolf.
So, it's definitely my top 10
all right.
horror movies.
So Alice.
Okay. Why is the movie great for me? Well, with a lot of horror movies, I like it when they lose. And they definitely lost in this one.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I like the Crow comic book so much, is because the ending, the way I interpret it, he doesn't go back to Shelley. He's stuck on Earth forever. The last page is him walking away. The movie gives him a happy ending. But a cut scene from City of Angels would have sold it perfectly when a priest asks Ash, "What are you now?" He goes, "I'm just a shadow amongst the shadows." Because he's stuck on the Earth. He doesn't get the happy ending in the original cut. And I like the ending because it was just so bleak. It's one of the other reasons I was a big fan of Japanese horror for a while, is they generally get screwed at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With bad things happening to people who didn't deserve it.
That's true.
So that
makes you happy when bad
same
things
ending.
happen to good people.
Well, when I'm watching horror,
Yeah, look at Uzumaki.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that's just something with me, is I like tragic endings with horror movies. I don't like it when the hero wins all the time. I don't mind it on occasion, but I prefer the darker ending. Like the original cut of Paranormal Activity with the ending where the cops kill the girl at the end. Like that was better.
I didn't know that was
Drag Me to Hell. That's a great ending as well.
Oh yeah, Drag Me to Hell. It's another great one.
Yeah, Drag Me to Hell.
Army of Darkness had
every single Evil Dead is nice.
Yeah, the original ending of Army of Darkness, he gets screwed because he messes up the thing and drinks an extra drop.
Because
And then
he's
the American
the
audience was like, nope, that's a bummer.
Yep.
And the other one too.
Yeah, there's so
Ash
many.
is the worst. Ash is a 1-star. He's a 1-star kind of guy for me. But yeah.
But yeah,
My
I
bad.
was
I just
saying-
I had to, that's my gospel. So
I
sorry.
like Ash as a character. If I had to be like roommates with Ash, nah. That's the guy who's
Yeah.
always late on his part of the electric. No way.
Exactly. You got me this time, right? Or he's the order wings guy. Like when you're ordering pizza with your own money, he's like, "Oh yeah, man, the wings are good, man. Get the wings too." And like, come on, Ash, give me a couple bucks, man. Like if you're gonna eat, you need to give me a few dollars.
Jason's ongoing campaign against the Evil Dead movies just never stops. Never stops.
Sorry.
They came out with the video game series of our video game. Really cool video game.
I've heard good things. I have to watch some gameplay.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out too much.
I
yet.
saw Bruce Campbell at a Comic-Con back in 2005 in San Diego Comic-Con, and there was a huge line of people to see him. And everybody went into this room, and he kind of, did a panel. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. I went to a book signing, and he did like I don't know what you'd call it, kind of like a show, he's a lot of fun to listen to talk. Like his stories are pretty great. He's got a good sense of humor.
I read his
My name
book,
is Bruce.
Kings Could Kill.
Yeah, he's funny.
No, we both his memoirs.
Yeah. But
Hmm.
when my name is Bruce came out, the movie, I got to go see him, and I hadn't slept in like 3 days, and then he called on me, and that was a mistake.
Oh no!
Oh no.
See, she asked a question. Someone interrupted it by yelling out, and then he answered the yell out instead.
My
So it's
question
just
got
like
conflict.
Oh no!
3 days, and I have a question answered.
So when I saw him, he was doing like his game show thing, probably the same thing, like a geek game show thing. And they make a point right off the bat. If you know the answer, like they're picking people to participate. So he's like, if you know the answer, do not say anything. Like only the people who are playing are answering. And so we're watching, and I don't even remember what the first question was, but I thought I knew the answer. And I leaned over to my friend I was with, and what I felt was whispered to him, like I think it's whatever the answer was. I don't know, Babylon 5, some geek answer, and he fucking Bruce Campbell stopped. And he was like, nobody in the audience answer. I was mortified. It was that loud. Like
Called out by Bruce Campbell.
called out by
And
Bruce
it
Campbell.
wasn't even a game show thing. Like it was just questions from the audience, and he was going to answer us.
Yeah.
And at first, when he pointed at me, I turned around because I was like, "There's no way it's going to like me. This is Bruce Campbell." And he said, "Yeah, I'm talking to the wall behind you." And I realized that I was in the back. And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm flustered." And he said, "Well, that's a mistake." And I still managed to ask my question. I asked him, "What's the worst thing in your day-to-day life or in a movie that Sam Raimi ever made you do?" And then someone in the audience in front of me said, "Spider-Man 3." And so Bruce Campbell then went into his spiel about his characters in all the Spider-Man movies, and then he moved on. And I was like, cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
cool. Throttle that random guy.
Who else thinks
Well, at
that
least
Spider-Man
we couldn't
2 is the best Spider-Man?
What's that?
So who else thinks that the Spider-Man 2, the Raimi with Doc Ock,
I
is
like
the
Doc
best
Ock.
one?
That was a really good one.
That's
It's
why I had
nice.
to go back.
My favorite one right now is the best. I consider it almost the best superhero movie to me is Into the Spider-Verse.
I would agree.
It's the
Yeah.
best comic book movie that exists. It's the best offering we've ever had. It's
For
such
sure,
a good movie.
in my opinion, for sure the best Spider-Man movie. But I would put Spider-Man 2 as a second. Like I think the Raimi Spider-Man 2 is really good.
Agreed.
No Way Home was really fun.
just-
I don't know if it was
There-
my favorite, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed No Way Home.
I just really liked how Raimi was like doing his thing on that Spider-Man 2. I mean, I like the first one a lot too, but he was really like doing the Evil Dead thing, like that whole scene where the arms come out of his back, or the doctors are putting them on, and then they start attacking the doctors, and then the fighting on the side of the building. It was just so cool the way they did it. So
Did that guy just say hello?
I really like it.
the entire spectrum of tone you need is right there, from humor to the melodrama to the horror. Like, how do you do Sandman and not do body horror? Like,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Scott, what was why this movie was really great to you?
So yeah, I would put The Thing up there as probably my second favorite horror film, and all my top 3 horror films are sci-fi horror. But my top would be Alien, and the thing and Alien have in common, the original Alien, is just that isolation. You're in a place where you're just shut in with just this crew of people, and you're either in space on a ship, you can't really go anywhere, or up in Antarctica, and it's just like, obviously the whole goal of The Thing is to get away from there, but just being in that isolation and just the mistrust and all of that,
Claustrophobia.
Yeah, exactly, all that. So I mean, I think to me that's why I think it's a great horror film. And then just because I mentioned it, my third favorite would be The Fly. So
That's a good
which doesn't have the same
We gotta
theme,
talk about The Fly.
body horror,
We gotta
definitely
talk
body
about
horror.
The
So
Fly.
Yeah, that's like
We should
the body horror
do a
movie.
party watch for The Fly, and then
Yes.
talk about that next.
So
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
We'll just do this again with The Fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably should.
Jason?
I mean, it's a great
yeah.
movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes, Ronnie.
Well, was this your greatest one of your favorite movies?
Okay. So I'm sorry, y'all. I have this thing, no pun intended, about
Lies.
I always feel like that the story has. I've always been communicated with like through creativity. Like there's always been little breadcrumbs for me to follow. John Carpenter, They Live was like one of the first things that instructed me, so to speak, that not everything is what you think it is. And then I saw Prince of Darkness. There's no way that I should have, like with my upbringing, that Prince of Darkness should have ever been on my radar. But I just remember being able to watch it one day in a laundromat, because we were stuck in the laundromat all day because it was 6 of us and we couldn't control the television. And I remember like casually being glued to this movie in this old church where this devil juice is passing itself from one person to the next to try to pull the devil out of a mirror. There's no way I should have saw that movie. But it was like, okay, things aren't what they seem with religion. And I always had that in the back of my mind. Years later, and a whole hell of a lot of personal story through that, I end up wanting to do comics to tell one particular story. And it became horror. And I didn't really have a lot of experience with horror in and of itself. But like my creator friends are saying to me at one time, in like from a sentence in a conversation, Jason, you have to watch The Thing. You have to watch The Thing. Ronnie, Jason, you have to watch The Thing. Aaron, you have to watch The Thing. Gary, for the way that you write, there's no reason that you should not have seen The Thing by now.
Yeah.
And then it all made sense. Between The Thing and Uzumaki in particular, I knew that there was a way to tell my story. No matter how bizarre it seemed like it got, it could still work. It would just be up to me. And like Uzumaki did it on paper, but to see it in like real time older, it's definitely my favorite horror movie. And it's the same feeling of Empire Strikes Back. I think somebody mentioned earlier the bad guys winning at the end of a movie. And I remember like understanding that Empire Strikes Back was my favorite movie of all time.
For sure.
Because in this super wholesome story, the bad guys took a loss in just about every dimension that they could at the end of Empire Strikes Back. And it did, like, that was what made me a Star Wars fan. The Thing in its bleak reality is what made me appreciate horror. on like the other level. Like it made me listen to the music. Like why was Paul McCartney an amazing guitarist? Now you listen to the music. Why was it always a little bit better when George sang? You know, you understand it a little bit different. And I feel like The Thing like encapsulates the Apocalypse trilogy in one movie, and it nails it down perfectly before it expands. And so that's why it's a great movie to me, and a movie that if you're a movie consumer, you should see, even if it's not in your wheelhouse for subject matter.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Gary?
Well, a lot of what everyone else has said. I like that you have very diverse and interesting characters that don't feel caricaturish. Like you can identify each person very quickly. They make sense. They're real easy to get a kind of a handle on, but they don't seem like cartoon characters, and it's really easy to keep track of everybody, even if you don't know their names. I like the way the story is written, where they're just almost immediately kind of behind the 8 ball and are for the rest of the movie. Like they never quite have a handle on what's going on. And it's a very close fight, but like the Thing is constantly winning by inches. And I kind of like that, the way like that sets up some like great pacing and tension throughout the whole movie, where
Tension, absolutely.
the Thing isn't just running wild and just eating people left and right. Like it's not like a werewolf movie. It's on the other hand, it's not like they're kind of cornering it and boxing it in, and it looks like maybe they're going to get a handle on this, and then at the last second, the Thing somehow pulled. Like it's just this war of attrition where the Thing is constantly just barely winning, and that kind of makes it really riveting to watch. But it's it's just everything's kind of perfect about it. The casting is great. The acting is, especially for a horror movie, remarkably good. Like there are a lot of horror movies with really bad actors and bad acting, and it's kind of accepted as part of the genre. Not so in The Thing. Like everybody's great in it. The direction is great.
Good acting just makes such a difference,
It does. The music.
Well, all the actors, they went off to make a lot of great movies.
Yeah.
And become
Also,
very
it's not
great in their.
It's not a slasher movie, which was the 80s.
Yeah.
Pretty big budget for a horror movie too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we've talked about the effects. The effects are world class. Like The Thing, The Howling, and American Werewolf in London. These are things that were made like 40 years ago that still look great. Like, and they look arguably better than a lot of modern special effects, in a lot of cases. So it's like that. I mean, there's just nothing not to like about this movie. The only thing that might put you off is if you're squeamish about gore. But if you're fine with that, like, and that's why I think it's a horror movie that you don't have to be a horror fan to like. Like there are some horror movies that are for horror fans, but this is like, I think anyone who's into like just a good, well-paced, crazy story would be into The Thing, even if they're not normally a sci-fi person or not normally a horror person. So
It's like my mother doesn't like horror movies. One of her favorite movies is Alien.
see, yeah, Alien is, and I didn't think about it till Scott said it. Alien and The Thing they're very like, talk about kissing cousins. Like they're
haunted house movies. So
yeah.
Alien is a horror
Alien
movie,
especially.
Yeah.
So am
What
I
about you,
next
Team
on the
Manticore?
list?
Universe.
I just think that like the thing is. Do you want to go? If you have,
You haven't seen it.
Well,
How can you want
actually,
to see a movie?
because I haven't seen it,
yeah.
I'm not qualified to answer this question. But I do need to.
You
get
need to
going,
watch it though.
so
Oh man, it's a shame
I'll have to
because
do
I got
that.
I got a great bonus question that you could even partake of.
So I have to stick around.
Yeah, if you want to.
You have to.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah. Where do you
I'll
think
stick
you're
around
going?
for the bonus question?
Give him the scalpel, Gary. Give him the blood test. He's trying. He's
Right.
being dodgy.
I'll wipe the blade off on my jeans. Totally sanitary.
He's really seen The Thing and is lying.
I just think this movie is just it's such lightning in a bottle. There's so many things that went right for this movie, between the writing, the casting, the special effects, the lighting. John Carpenter definitely had a vision for it. Like it's so unique in it's what, like, 'cause other movies in this era, like this was not commercially successful. It became successful later on.
It bombed. It opened against ET.
It opened against ET. Like, what are you going to go see? But I think the appreciation has swung around to The Thing because of all these factors that were in place.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to disregard The Thing as just like a movie that stands on its own. There were a lot of movies at the time that, like, you've got the big guy who stabs you, you've got the living doll who stabs you, and there are like 8,000 different like offshoots of these into horror, but nothing is like The Thing enough to be like, oh, that's just The Thing again.
Yeah.
Like, there'll be aspects of it with certain like monster effects and stuff like that, but nothing has all the facets that make The Thing stand on its own. They don't have the way that the tension ramps up, the way that the characters interact naturally, the way that the monsters just kind of explode into these unnatural forms, like all these things together. Like, if you're watching The Thing for 3 minutes, you know it's The Thing.
Yeah.
And some movies you can watch for half an hour and not know what you're watching.
Yeah.
That one Friday the 13th you've watched like 3 times.
The what was that? The Friday the
Was it the
13th remake in 2009?
Oh,
Something
yeah.
like that.
It's a remake that you have watched many times and you don't realize that you saw it before until the end.
There's a Friday the 13th remake from like around 2010, and I always forget that I've watched it until the final scene where I go, oh, I watched this movie before.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing unique about it. It just
It's a
hits the
special kind of
beats
hell.
of big guy who stabs you. Like,
It's big guy who stabbed you with darker scenes.
Yeah.
the lighting's bad. That's it.
Yeah.
There's
So I
3
have
beginnings.
Oh, you again.
I have something to say, like, as far as The Thing not being a hit when it first came out, which kind of makes sense to me because, I mean, obviously it was up against ET, but it's hard when you do something that's freaky and scary for it to be a hit in a way, because people are kind of immediately repulsed by it. And I illustrated a comic book, which is kind of like that. And even I can't remember if you guys said this, but other people have said, oh, I wouldn't pick that up. Like, I wouldn't want to watch that. I wouldn't want to read that. But then the people who have read it have said it's quality. You know, it's not.
No, I knew it was good
garbage.
as soon as I picked it up. It does what it's supposed. It's one of those stories that does what it's supposed to do very well. I really enjoy Bling.
So thank you. So it's understandable to me how The Thing it took a while to catch on, you know.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Yeah,
Well,
just
it's
because
harder
something
to
is not
sell.
for you doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
It's harder to sell a bleak story because, like, that's why they keep changing movies for American audiences to be happy at the end. But, like, sometimes the end has to be bleak. That's the point of this story. Like, oh, I Am Legend. They've ruined that.
Oh God, they killed that movie.
The entire point of the movie was him realizing that he's the monster, not that he cures the world. And,
Yeah, saves the world. Yeah. Oh.
I was angry at that movie at the end because when he had to, spoilers everybody, but when he had to choke out his dog because it was turning, I cried in the theater. And then at the end, I'm in the theater. I'm just muttering under my breath, "Fuck you, movie! Fuck you!"
Yeah.
You didn't understand what movie you were making. You were the monster. That's the point.
Right.
How dare you make me cry?
I know. And then blow it. And then to make it
And
not.
blow it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sad when you lost. But The Thing stands the test of time in a way that other movies just often don't. And we still have so much more to analyze and look into with this movie, which is why this is not the first podcast YouTube thing we've been on to talk about specifically The Thing. And we still have more to say about it.
Yeah.
Which says something beyond our we do have a problem. But it's a testament to the movie itself and how much is there.
I think that's another thing with great writing. Writing nowadays is just like you have to answer every question. And the thing, like, there's so many things that you just don't know the answer to because the characters don't know the answer to them, and they're not trying to fill plot holes.
How can we show them?
We can do a screen share thing in a minute. Yeah.
At some point, we're going to want to show you
Our stupid
ridiculous
thing art.
I seen Scott disappeared a little.
Oh,
You might have had some construction. Something.
Yeah.
So, what's your opinion, Scott?
I like it a lot.
But I tried to hold it back, especially since Scott mentioned it. But the bonus question, and this is a big fight that we could get into for a while, but I just thought it'd be fun to talk about. You know, we know the thing, it could shapeshift and everything. So, for a little fun and a little, like, I don't say bashing heads, who would win in a fight?
Oh my gosh.
The Xenomorph versus the Thing. Who will win?
That
Well,
just
I think
scares
the-
me because you're gonna have Thing xenomorphs by the end of it.
That's what I was gonna say. I think that the thing would just like assimilate the xenomorphs. At
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah, but can it really because of the acid blood?
It was from outer space.
Yeah, I don't think it
We're
cares
both
about
from outer
acid
space,
races.
so I'm just gonna kind of go with their
That's
aliens.
a good question. We never saw if acid works against the thing.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, we know fire.
We know fire. And
We also know fireworks on the xenomorphs, so
Yeah.
Fuchs. So do you remember when McGreedy goes and talks to Fuchs, catches him by surprise? Fuchs is hard at work at his desk.
Yeah.
He picks up this vial and looks at McGreedy like he's trying to decide if he needs to throw whatever this vial is at McGreedy.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, is that what's in that? But he must think like that would actually do something against the thing. It could have been acid or something.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, does it work against the thing, or does it work against the cells the thing is imitating? Like, if
Yeah.
you throw sulfuric acid on a person, they're not going to like it. But is the thing just going to revert
It's
to
not gonna
like
like it.
its
You're right.
natural
I
thing?
like it. Yeah.
But look
Yeah,
at
Scott,
what
when
the-
you said
No,
mention
no,
alien, this was the bonus question.
Yeah, just
I had
saw
to keep
that.
myself bonus.
you know, but like look at
Scott,
what the thing
why
became.
did you go
like.
away?
I'm back.
Why did you leave?
No, but I really think the thing, you know, it would take over a xenomorph if it had the ability to, but it just goes back to that question. Like, would it get injured if it tried to get the acid blood from the xenomorph on it?
Well,
You know?
I would say no because
And the
look
face
at-
hugger
look at
would
what-
the face hugger would be destroyed because then the thing would transform and turn into something else to eat the face hugger.
But look at what the thing became. Like the thing
Yeah.
is the source power behind the Sutter Kane novels. That's the trilogy, right? Like it's all the same consciousness that's trying to expand outward. So it was able to kind of change it changed anything that it was between those three movies was never the same.
It's
Yeah.
so
You
much-
know, and so like between the thing trying to get out of In the Mouth of Madness, still kind of, like I said, through its cousin They Live, which is like using technology to subjugate instead of assimilate,
Mm-hmm.
even though its own Earth with its slaves, so to speak. I don't think that there's anything that could pose a threat to the thing with time to understand it, because it only ever used its victims against itself. It didn't, it was scary, but it didn't really have a form of itself to fight with. It just made humans worse. It made dogs worse. Then it, was like, okay, get them through religion. And I don't know if it's really the same thing, but I feel like it is. I feel like that's what it was trying to end the world. It was trying to take over the world. Like they had a format that it could use to get out of Antarctica, but that wasn't really ever going to be fast enough. So it saw the reach of religion. Then it forms from Antarctica, could have found some ancient artifact and like weaved itself into whatever this anti-God equation became. It may have not have even ever been real. That may have not even been a real thing, but it knew how people believed. And so it used it against them. And then going to the mouth of madness, at some point, religion broke down, but entertainment didn't. So it was like, okay, I'll weave a little bit of this Sutter Kane character into what they all do. Then they're all in the religion, but the closer you get to where it was very religious. Like not Hobbs End was like a very small town built around this black church. But that was the epicenter of everything that ended up being Sam Neill killing a bunch of people and sitting in an insane asylum.
Because you mentioned the church in Mouth of Madness. I don't know if you know this, but I was surprised to learn this because I thought that place was a matte painting. That's a real church.
It's so awesome. Yeah, I just found that out not too long ago.
It just blew my mind that someone built that church just in that place because it seems so unreal.
Right. Yeah. It just has eerie all over it.
Yeah.
But no, it's just this is just me. Like, I don't know how to, like, I'm not breaking these movies down. I'm kind of like the Shining guy that says that it's the camouflage story about the moon landing. But I know that I'm just relating good art to things that touch me. And that's how I see these movies. And so, no, I think that the Thing will always win because the Thing becomes the worst part of whatever it consumes.
Mm-hmm.
Xenomorph be damned.
Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I think a toss-up between The Thing and Alien. Alien's still my favorite movie, my favorite creature, but I still think The Thing would win. I think it would take over. I think it does have the ability to take over whatever characteristics. So if the creature has acid for blood, then it adapts and it takes on that that trait as well. So yeah, I mean, the question I would ask back is, so in The Thing, it said it would, if the Thing got to a civilized population, it would take it 3 years to take over the Earth. Yep. How long would it take an alien to take over the Earth? More or less time. I mean, as far as what's the threat to humanity, which is worse the threat to humanity?
The Thing,
aliens. I would say plural. One alien probably not, but they have the ability to breed and everything. Would it be able to take over the Earth as fast?
I don't think so. I think the Thing is a far greater threat. Like, I think what made the alien...
Hey, guys, I'm going to have to get going, so I appreciate you.
Thanks for hanging out, man.
Well, thank you for coming on, Landon. We got to get you and John on to talk more about your stuff.
Sounds good. Yeah, he's not feeling too good right now. I think he's got COVID, so hopefully he'll get better. But peace out, guys. Have a good rest of the show.
Good night. You too.
Take care, buddy.
I think the only thing that made the aliens such a handful was the fact that these are just a bunch of like blue collar people at work stuck on a ship with, like that. I think when you really,
it was the cast of Armageddon. They were like, we're oil guys.
How do we like this? If you could get a handle on that situation, if you were able to marshal again, like start, doing some kind of prep. The fact that the Thing could be anywhere, it could be like little bits that could infect someone, that it immediately can start to pose as somebody else. I think that would, it's over. I think that's why Blair, he realized, as soon as this gets land,
it's over. It's a wrap.
Yeah, there's no way to contain this.
Yeah.
I think the alien, you can sort of, even if you had to, you could just go and napalm the whole, like Sigourney Weaver in the second one, just nuke the whole thing wherever they are.
Take off aside from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
I mean, you could, aside from the whole not knowing who's what. I mean, you could, if you knew where the Thing was, you could nuke it as well. But
if you knew, and that's the trick. And I think the alien gestation is long enough. No matter what, they have this bottleneck of having to be a face hugger for a little while.
Yeah.
And that's a place where you can intercept.
Yeah.
There are a lot of opportunities. They could have taken, I get Kane when he had the face hugger on him. If once they know how this whole thing works, you throw him off the ship and you fly away. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that was a close call. Shame
would
about
say-
Kane.
I would agree. Existentially, I think the thing is more horrifying because, like, in its essence, a single cell is a danger to an entire population. But xenomorphs are basically big ants.
Yeah.
Like,
You remember at the beginning of the pandemic when everybody was wearing the salad bar sneeze guards when they went out? Like, that's all you would have to do, like in hatching months of the face grabbers. Like, all right, everybody grab your salad sneeze guard. Like, just keep that on for the next 3
it's
months.
face hugger season.
The
So remember
facehugger
to wear
went
your
through a
mask.
face suit.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But in terms of alien versus thing,
Yeah.
like if you opened up a football field and you put an alien and a thing in there and like, let's see what happens. I keep going back and forth in my brain. I don't know.
I just see the big football helmets coming together of like the xenomorph.
Not
and
to
the
be a
thing.
cop out, but it might sort of be a stalemate. You know, like because
Yeah, especially if it was the queen.
well, if it's
Yeah,
the
'cause I
queen, I
don't-
think it will rip apart it'll rip apart the thing, and then it'll have an infected queen.
right,
Yeah.
Because
right.
it's gonna get blood on it. So
Yeah,
It's the old meme. It's just like, well, I just ripped the thing in half. It's like, now there are two things.
yeah, now there's two.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I do think that Ripley and McCready would get along, if nothing else, because Ripley hates androids, and McCready immediately destroyed his own computer because he lost it.
yes.
Right.
We have a shared disdain for AI. Yeah,
You hate smarmy
That's
technology? I hate smarmy technology.
yeah.
I think that alone would be why they get along.
Well, and they're both
I can
kind
argue.
of being sabotaged like on purpose and accidentally by the morons around them. Like, you know, if people had listened to Ripley right off the bat in that first movie, it would have been fine. If she had said, don't, no, he can't come on board.
Yeah.
Quarantine. Like, that would have been it. There would have been no movie. There end credits. But
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
yeah,
go back in
the
our
rest-
suspended
the rest of the
animation.
movie's 10
Forget
minutes
about it.
it's one of the reasons I love Ripley so much is she basically does everything right.
yes,
Through the
yeah,
movie.
he's usually the one who's. And McGreedy, there are a couple parts where he's like, well, you're a little bit of a moron, but you can forgive him because he's a
trying to
helicopter pilot. Like, he's doing the best he can. But like, oh, that's funny.
I just seen this, so I got to add it up there.
Yeah, we're
That's so good.
haunted you with our The Thing art. So that's the animated series art that Rowan made for The Thing.
If it were an
That's
animated
so
series,
good.
that's what I think
Again.
it would look like.
That's awesome.
I love the hands coming off the back. Like, that's great.
So
Yeah.
good.
And I'll do that. Now the rom-com one's available if you want to show that.
Yes, show it.
That's
Ah,
the thing about
Think about it thing.
That's awesome.
Of course, McCready's the one getting wooed.
Yeah, of course.
That's
Yeah,
so good.
that's what we do with our time.
looks heartwarming.
Awesome.
If The Thing were different genres.
We had a
sleepless
whole,
in Antarctica.
Ronnie, I thought your last question was going to be, is Child's a thing at the end of the movie? Like, that's what I was
no.
for sure thought you were going to ask. But
I could have, but I thought just to go with something that would have been fun to talk about.
No, this is more fun
'Cause,
to
I mean,
talk about.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, I think the ending's better if he's not, because it's more of
Yeah,
lonely
I
death.
agree.
So,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, no, that is definitely kind of a bleak, sad ending for all the reasons you guys give.
Yeah. So we're past the 1 hour and 30 minutes mark. So everybody, we'll start with you, Allison. What you got going on coming up?
well, I'm working on my comic A Girl in Her Shadow. I'll be debuting it on my Patreon of Alley Cat Comics on hopefully first week of June. I have to get a few things finished for it, but I'm hoping to drop the first issue on that. And that's the $2 level, get you access to my comic.
Awesome. Let us know. We'll get you on the show so you can promote it.
That will be cool. I'm definitely appreciative of that. And you can catch me with Peter Palmiotti Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, as soon as we start streaming again. So he has a friend who has, well, she was in the hospital, so he was taking care of lots of cats. 14 of them. That's including his.
Even more than
Including
me.
his. One of them had kittens, so there's like 4 kittens involved. There's a lot of cats.
It's like 3 men and a baby, only it's
It's a guy and 14 cats.
Unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Scott?
Yeah, you can find my stuff at Serkworks.com or on my YouTube channel, Serkworks. Just search Serkworks on YouTube. It's SERKWORKS. And there's just tons of content on there as far as making comics or just how to, make a living as an artist and just all kinds of stuff like that on the YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do that.
Yeah, they're fun videos.
And,
Watch them.
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen your show a couple of times with Peter. It's great. So,
Oh, thank you. I like yours, so I generally watch all
And
your
this isn't just like Scott's my friend now. A lot of us here watched his videos. If you guys are wanting, especially once in the chats or whoever watches it, because I know people are on Twitch watching. Watch his videos. He has great knowledge. This guy knows what he's talking about making comics, and he has a comics bundle that you could download that has like formats of like speed lines and everything.
Yeah, I grabbed the free one. I really liked it.
Yeah.
So
thanks.
if I had the money, I'd buy the other one, but I'm poor. So.
Yeah.
Other than that, if next weekend, and this goes for Gary too, I will be at Phoenix Fan Fusion, which is formerly Phoenix Comic Con, Gary will be there too. We'll be at different booths, but I'll be at the Surprise Comics booth, signing and doing remarks and sketching and all that stuff. So yeah.
And you going to be doing the Kickstarter for your Young and the Dead scene, right?
I think that's going to be hopefully in July. So
awesome.
You'll probably be hearing a lot more about that as we get closer to that. So.
Oh yeah, get you on the show definitely for that.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. I want to be back. So,
Jason.
Fogbreaker Studios. Check out my Etsy, Fogbreaker Studios. I got ransom notes up. I'm actively developing a couple of prints to put up. I'm just really leaning into the horror thing. So, like, I think I have a voice I think I have a voice, and I think I have a few more stories to tell. So, Fogbreaker Studios, Instagram, TikTok, Etsy. That's about it for now. Like, check out my YouTube every once in a while, but I don't really mess with that much. But maybe that'll change again. I always say that, but whatever.
Gary.
So Dinosaurs versus Marsbots.com, or no, not .com, at Dinosaurs vs Marsbots. I don't do that .com nonsense. And then I've got reprints available for sale. Between the two of these, it's about 100 pages of story. Get caught up before the third one, which is coming someday. I'm working on it. And then if you go to my YouTube channel, Gary Hodges, I'm doing weekly live streams, Saturday late morning, 11 a.m. Arizona time. I'm usually on for like hour and a half, 2 hours, because I start my new page for the week and talk about whatever's going on. So this week I'll be talking about little differences between the newest prints of these compared to the originals, and then whatever else comes up. So.
Gotcha.
And also, just real quick, we all do really, really dope comics. Landon, that was on earlier, has a really awesome comic. Gary, your comic is one of the better of, like, it's a showcase of our field. It really is. I love it every time I read it. I picked it up because I wrote a review for it, and I forget how good it is sometimes. Like,
that's very nice. You're making me super uncomfortable. Thank you.
I'm so sorry, but it's a really good book. I think that it has a place, and I think that it's a book that is it's a very good introduction to indie comics. So I've just been reading it again. I just wanted to say it, and that's all I gotta say about it. But check it out, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, we have a link tree where you can find all of our stuff.
Yeah, I got all your guys' links in the description.
Nice.
Linktree, it's team_Manticore. Our next event is going to be the Freaky Mutant Weirdo Steampunk and Concert event in Hackettstown, New Jersey. That is June 4th.
And as for stuff that we're each doing, you are almost in your movie.
I'm almost done with my movie. My card game
Are you
is
doing a movie?
August.
Yeah.
I've got movie Eve is Dead. I'm finishing up the final bit of audio editing, and then we're
Let us know when it's done. I want to get you guys on the show for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll definitely do something with
That's
you
really
guys
cool.
when it's ready.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
I miss
Thank you.
editing so much. I used to work for a TV station, and I did a lot of editing. So
It's one of those things where I do a page of edits, and I go back and watch it, and I write down another page of edits. So it's just been
So close.
refining
So close.
for a while now.
And I'm working on Entropy Head.
Your next comic is going to be Entropy Head, which is going to be a very it's about monsters and mental illness and the convergence
I love
of
it.
that's
Awesome.
awesome.
It's what it is to have a mental illness that the character's already been dealing with his entire life. And then there's actual demons, and how does he tell the difference between the two? Also, there's love story, because I don't have any sense of genre. So,
I love it.
Gotcha.
It sounds fine by me. Just go
That's
for
the
it.
power of horror right there. I love it. You can
I know-
mix it all in, and it'll always come out awesome. If
I
you're
know
just-
Allison was trying to show something.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
this is the cover to my,
nice.
this is the cover to my book.
Nice.
I really like the textures.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very
Mhm.
cool.
And
Yeah, I did see you working on that on one of your streams. Looks great.
thank
That
you.
is awesome.
And
Look
this
at
is
that.
the one of the pages.
and links to find all of you will be in the descriptions, right?
Yep.
Because I would like
I
to.
gotta
Oh yeah, I
move
got everybody's links.
We talked about the thing for an hour and a half. We're now all friends.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Congratulations. You're
Oh,
all
yeah.
so
We all like it.
Definitely, if we could figure out how to have a watch party for The Fly and then talk about that, that'd be
That
fun.
would be cool.
I'm so
Oh,
ready to
God.
talk about The Fly. I'm so ready to have an excuse to rewatch it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's
something.
been a while since I've seen it.
I haven't watched it in a very long time, so I would definitely
Jason,
be.
you're not
interested.
rewatching The Fly because you got to watch Silence of the Lambs. I mean, that's your homework. You have not seen
All right.
Silence of the Lambs, and it's unacceptable.
All right.
Wait,
Fair enough.
You haven't seen Silence?
And-
Have you seen Manhunter?
No.
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 Mhm.
But there's so many movies.
Guys, I guess we're not all friends anymore. Just like
You
just
see
like
what I
that.
No,
do,
so-
Elton?
I haven't seen Manhunter, and that's
Ah.
so.
I'm
But
married
I've
to
seen.
you.
I know.
The betrayal. Oh my
Oh.
god.
Listen,
And this,
you didn't see all my nonsense either.
I mean, you could see Red Dragon, but it's not Manhunter.
So you not only Chud, but Chud 2.
Oh,
I have seen
God.
Chud.
Chud. I haven't thought about Chud. in
Chud 2, oh my
1,000
god, that's
So some movies are good because they are a train.
the
wreck.
second movie.
Chud 2 is just
So have we all seen Troll
finest
2?
of dumpster water.
I have sat
Seen
through
what?
Troll too. Yeah.
I've sat
Oh
through
yeah,
it once.
yeah. I've seen Troll too.
Yeah. It's powerful.
My parents had a black box when I was a kid, so I saw everything on pay-per-view for free. So I saw Troll 2.
Nice.
You saw it like when
I
it
love
came
that there
out.
was an era where people
Yeah.
pay to see Troll 2.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
I'm a child
Can
of
you
the
imagine
80s.
if you're
I
like,
call it
it was
crap.
date night and you saw Troll 2 thinking like maybe this will be good.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of things
Yeah.
because of my dad. Because he didn't care if I saw Reanimator. My mom
Yeah.
cared.
How old were you when you saw Reanimator?
Younger than I should have been.
Yeah,
Are you trying to share my
was cool.
screen again, or is this something else?
I probably saw RoboCop when I was like 11. Or
Let me
something.
see.
Same.
Oh yeah.
I would hide
I don't know if
behind
you guys.
couch
Oh,
to
there it is.
watch the horror
That's
movies.
that's my T-shirt design that I'm making for
I like
the
that.
con.
nice.
Hopefully, I
Oh,
win.
that's cool.
So
That is
That's
cool.
fun.
yeah,
I like
I
that.
like it.
excited about that. Yeah, it's called. The theme is called Party Monsters, so I'm like, why not just have two people dancing?
There you go.
I like it.
I like that a
That's
lot.
cool.
Thank you.
Do we have?
Yeah.
Should have gone that way.
You just-
Read it. I'm looking for stuff.
Yes, people share anything before we close out. But again, I appreciate everybody coming on. It's been really fun.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's a good
thanks for,
time.
and congratulations on 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
congratulations, guys.
Thanks.
I'm
It's
trying
been
to figure
fun.
out how to share this one.
Yeah. Not just for the 2 years of like just me and Jason hanging out, but it's great meeting a lot of horror creators and just showing, you know, the world that, hey, there are still comic creators out there that love horror, and it's not just superhero flooded like it is in the mainstream.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind, in my comic book, blood is stored in the body at 2,000 psi.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
That's from Entry Head.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Well, that's
Yeah.
upsetting.
And
Look at
and the character Matthew is
That's
now,
cool.
this is an older saved one, is now in that first panel looking at the thing. But most of it is just digitally done, and then every now and then I decided to take a photo of a sculpture I did of a monster and put it in like this.
Well, specifically
That's so
the
cool.
monsters. You made clay sculptures of them, so they looked surreal within the environment.
One of them was made out of sand.
Yeah.
Because I wanted people to read this and kind of feel the way Matthew feels looking at these things. So this is one example. It's a
Very cool.
monster.
Very cool. I dig it.
I'm having fun with
Awesome.
it. So the title, The Bathroom Monster, is not going to be in the book. Just as an example.
That's behind the scenes.
I love it.
I'm having a good time.
Almost done.
Awesome.
Well, it's fun.
This has been fun.
Yes.
Well, all right. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it. And we'll see everybody next week on Comics de la Morte.
Adios.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Good night.
Night.
Thanks.